and welcome to Classic Violins. Today we're going to talk a little bit about tailpieces, instrument tailpieces, and more specifically fine tuners. Most people have an instrument that has on their tailpiece, one way or another, some array of fine tuners. If you're a student or one of our rental customers, all of our rental instruments come as standard with these tailpieces with built-in fine tuners, but maybe you've seen also professionals or other players around that have an instrument with a tailpiece that seems to have only one little fine tuner on it, or maybe no fine tuners at all. We oftentimes get asked the question, what's the difference? Does this matter? And how do I add or remove fine tuners to my tailpiece? And we're going to take this apart a little bit today. So for those of you who may not be familiar to begin with, when I'm talking about a fine tuner, I'm talking about a very small little device that attaches to your tailpiece or is part of your tailpiece, and it usually has a little screw on the top of it. When you tighten the screw, turning it to the right, it causes a little lever or a little arm to pull in, which pulls the string and raises the pitch. When you turn it to the left, it lets the little arm go out and it releases the string a little bit, causing the pitch to go down. In this way, you're able to make very nice small micro adjustments to the tuning of your instrument, which can be especially helpful if weather is changing and maybe your pegs are being temperamental, or especially if you're tuning up with your orchestral group. It just makes getting everything dialed in really, really nice. So when we start, most tailpieces, or a wooden tailpiece, will start out kind of looking something like this. There's usually 4 holes with little slots in them, and these are where you would add fine tuners. And as I showed on this instrument, you can see there is just one fine tuner added, which is pretty standard for a wooden tailpiece. Now, if you like more fine tuners, oftentimes the tendency of customers is to ask, well, can you just put more fine tuners on my wooden tailpiece? The answer is yes. They're designed such that you can add more fine tuners to them, up to 4, of course, 1 for each string. But there's a problem with this. The major issue comes down to the weight. Each of these fine tuners is, of course, made out of metal and is fairly heavy. If you actually hold one on its own, there's a lot of mass to that. And when you start loading up your tailpiece, adding all these fine tuners to it, that adds an incredible amount of vibratory mass to the instrument, which is actually going to deaden your sound a little bit, working kind of like a big mute. That's more mass that the instrument strings have to overcome in order to make the instrument vibrate, and it's going to affect your sound negatively. Beyond that, each fine tuner is made up of multiple parts. There are at least 3 different parts on a fine tuner. Removable, that's the screw, there's a little collar that attaches it to the tailpiece, and then there's the body of the fine tuner itself. If these are not correctly tightened down, or if there is any play in that system, these are all things that can potentially rattle and vibrate and create some really unsavory sounds for your instrument. That's 3 on one single fine tuner, and if you add 4 to your instrument, that's adding essentially 12 extra little things that can vibrate around and cause your sound to decrease, and this becomes a problem really fast. So what do you do if you want to have more than one fine tuner on your tailpiece? Well, the solution, as I kind of alluded to already, is a thing called a Vintner tailpiece. It's by a German company. There are multiple different designs of these, but Vintner is probably the most prolific. And this is a really nice system built in that has 4 little fine tuners that are actually integral built into the tailpiece itself, which does a number of things. One, it reduces the mass and the weight significantly by an incredible factor. Since these tailpieces are also made out of a composite material, not wood, and only the screws are made out of metal on this, that drastically, again, reduces the weight and what's going to have to be overcome to vibrate. Since there are also less moving parts in this, there are less little things that can rattle around and cause unsavory sounds. And also the design of these tailpieces is such that the fine tuners are very, very smooth and easy to use as compared to the older style adding on fine tuners to a tailpiece like that. But if you want only one fine tuner, as a lot of orchestral players would like, usually these wind up on the highest string of the instrument, so on a violin that's your E string, on a viola your A string. There are many other designs that are very, very low profile. There's a lot less material and a lot less mass, and they are designed to be put on only one string hole here, so it again gives you that extra solution of being able to fine-tune your highest, most temperamental string without adding a lot of extra mass to your tailpiece. People will also sometimes ask, or there is some misconception, that having a tailpiece on your instrument with multiple fine tuners is somehow a sign of being a student instrument or being less quality. While having an instrument that only has one fine tuner perhaps means that you are a professional or is a better instrument somehow. That's not really true at all. The tailpiece is a removable and customizable piece that can be taken on or put or off of an instrument. And if you find that it is more convenient for your tuning and for your playing to have four fine tuners, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're a bad player or anything like that. It just simply is giving yourself a little leg up for fine tuning. If you find that you only need one and you only want one, and you want to reduce that extra mass on your instrument and things, a single fine tuner like this Hill Design one is a very good way to go. Again, this is something that would be good to talk to your luthier. Come on in and give us a call. We could help you discuss fine-tuning options for your instrument. And if you're really having a difficult time tuning and experiencing that kind of problem, what it might actually even be is that your pegs may need some adjustment or lubrication. Seasonally, this is a pretty common thing, and sometimes people think they are very bad at tuning only because their instrument and their pegs are not set up to give them that edge. So with this in mind, I hope this helps explain fine tuners and tailpieces a little bit. If you have any questions, please give us a call or stop in. We'd be happy to assist you and make sure that your instrument is easy to tune and providing you with a great experience. Thank you very much.